Hey, Rosebud, how are we doing?
Great.
We're back.
We are.
Episode 10.
I know.
Milestone episode.
I know.
Double digits.
I'm really proud of us. This was just something we were just going to play around with and kick off and see where it went. And now we've got
Now it's a real thing that's minimally watched on YouTube.
I know, but this has been fun.
Absolutely.
It's a lot more work than I thought it would be, but you handle it great.
We handle it great. And we also have a special guest today before I get into the intro. This is our wonderful, beautiful, worst dog of all time that we've ever owned.
This is Bill.
The wonderful Belle Rue Miller, who refuses to stay in her kennel today. So instead of her barking, which audience, you do not want to hear the bark. I know you probably heard it last episode for the few that listened to it and watched it. Actually, we had a lot of people watch it, but we appreciate that. She was barking and it was loud and very annoying. So we are trying to save you guys that trouble this week.
Yeah.
With that being said, welcome to Do We Have To? A marriage podcast. I am your host, Sean.
I'm Emily.
This is a Not Actual Family Studios production. Executive producer, Colin Maskell. And to the wonderful Do We Have To crew, we have a wonderful, wonderful show lined up for you today. Because not only is it the 10th episode, but we also have a special edition of Do We Have to Talk About It. But before we get into that or go to it, Emily, what do we got on the docket today for the show?
We actually have quite a bit on the show.
Let's do it.
Let me get out my little cheat sheet here. We have our new Do We Have To Getting Deep and Keeping It Real segment.
Love that.
The Do We Have To crew has been requesting a lot of new kind of personal info from me and you. They want to get to know us more. We're going to do Let's Get Deep questions that have been used for Love is Blind. So we're going to crack out that
Let's get intimate, audience.
Yeah. We're going to do a segment for some Sour Patch Kid moments.
Love that.
I feel like we've had quite a few.
Sour Patches are delicious.
The
candy's delicious. Children being Sour Patches are not.
To be 1,000% honest, I've never had a Sour Patch Kid because I don't like sour.
Oh, you haven't lived then.
Probably, but I'm raising 3 of them. And then we've got a peek at next week's show. We will tackle a deeper question card. But first, and the biggest, is Do We Have To Talk About It? International. We've got quite a following internationally, and they are chatting. So we're going to answer their questions.
Yeah, so today's going to be specifically questions and Do We Have to Talk About It only from our international Do We Have To crew members.
You know, I'm super excited.
Yes.
I'm like so humbled that people listen and
just in general, yeah, people here in Kansas City
care.
listen. The fact that we have people in the world is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty humbled by it. It's pretty awesome. No,
it's awesome. And I think the theme overall today, you know, because as we get into this and we start talking, right, we're talking about people who have been reaching out to us and commenting, hey, we want to get to know Emily and Sean better. We're going to do that in a fun way with this game. We're going to get into that segment in a second.
Yeah.
And then overall, you know, based on these questions we're kind of getting, and this has been kind of an ongoing theme, especially obviously in marriage, but a lot of it is today is going to be really focusing on self-care and accountability. And we're not only going to talk about that from relationships, we also got a politics question. So fucking buckle up, everybody. Yeah. We are going to be coming in hot, United States politics. Yeah. So be ready. Wouldn't be an international, do we have to talk about it if there probably wasn't a question about United States politics. So.
Yeah, that one I'm nervous
about. Save it for it, but we're gonna dive into it. Just stay tuned. So with that being said, second time today on the show already, we are going to jump into Let's Get Deeper. So just so the audience is aware of that. So I know Emily broke it down a little bit, but there is a specific game in the show Love is Blind, which is one of Emily and I's favorite shows we watch. And if you are a fan of marriage, or if you're a fan of the psychological experiment of getting to know somebody on a deep, intimate level, it is a show.
Weird, guilty pleasure
for you. It is definitely awesome. But they do use this game, and I'm going to show you here to you. So it's by a company called Relatable. And again, this is not a sponsor. We don't get anything for this, but we decided we wanted to use it. Apparently, they made the game What Do You Meme? Never played it. But apparently that's a selling point if they put it on the box. and it's by a company called Relatable. So let's get deep. So basically, it's a couples game where if you're getting to know each other, and this might be a fun thing to do on a date, but there's 3 types of cards. There's icebreaker, which is kind of just a general get to know you card, right? You're just trying to break the ice. There's a deep where you're kind of getting to know each other on a more intimate level. And then there is a get deeper, which is, hey, we're moving forward on things and we need to really kind of break down these walls. Yeah. So each week we're going to start doing this, and we'll rotate. So I'm not going to, take up the audience time overly with getting to know Emily and I, but what we'll do is we'll do a different card type every week. So this week we'll start out with an icebreaker. Let's just gently break the ice with the audience and we will run through that card. So Emily's going to pick a random card at the top. We actually opened it and we didn't touch them or look at them. So we specifically would not get the cards. Why are you laughing? Oh, wow. You had a good one already?
Well, this one is definitely a you card.
Why is that? Okay, well, hold on. Let's just jump into it. So for our first ever, let's get deep. Our icebreaker card is, go right ahead.
If you were a wrestler, what
this is fantastic.
What would be your entrance theme song?
Oh my God. Is this not okay?
This is totally a you card.
Well, it's a me card, but also everything that's going on. So quick sidebar, our son has recently gotten into professional wrestling, which when I was a kid, I used to watch it all the time as well. So now we're watching professional wrestling with poor Emily every Monday night, WWE, Monday Night Raw, shout out to WWE. We're watching that together as a family while Seamus does his laundry and folds it. That's kind of part of our deal. Each one of our kids has a laundry night. They get to pick an activity or a show that they want to watch, and we watch it together as a family. Doesn't matter if you like it or not.
Right.
And now we're doing WWE Raw. So Emily has been immersed in the world of professional wrestling, and Seamus has decided instead of having a birthday party, he wants to go to Monday Night Raw on April 28th in Kansas City. So we are doing that. We are looking forward to that. This could not be more of an appropriate question. So would you like to start out with that? Because I think that would be fantastic for the audience. If you were coming out and you've been to a wrestling show before, you've seen it at least. Mm-hmm. The theme song really is not just a song. It encapsulates who you are as a character. It connects you with the audience. And you have to have a fucking banger if you want to make sure that you are making, an impact before you go out to the ring. Yeah. So with all that, what would be the song that you come out to?
Thank you, Bill. Yeah. I don't know. Part of me wants to say,
you can't take 15 minutes to figure it out.
I'm sorry. Part of me wants to say, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart from Taylor Swift.
Oh, I like that.
But then I also feel a very strong urge to go with Rack City.
I think Rack City would be... I don't think WWE would allow that song to be an entrance song, but I think that would be a fantastic... You can do it without the lyrics. I think that would be dope as hell because you can do...
Just because that's
music.
how we closed out our wedding, and I
feel like that would be a badass song just to walk out to in general.
Yeah.
In general, I think that would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 5 Minutes to Midnight, maybe.
Yeah. So you're a baby face, essentially. And when I say baby face, I mean good guy.
Oh.
You're like a good guy type of vibe where it's like, oh, we're going to get the crowd up and everybody's going to be a part of it and excited and you're going to run in. So like Rack City could be more of like a heel bad guy kind of vibe.
I don't want to be a bad guy.
So you'd probably want to go then with the 5 Minutes to Midnight, Boys Like Girls, or Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift could be an anti-hero type of song. So could Rack City. Yeah, Anti-hero is the best place to be, where you kind of just go off and do your own thing, and you do some bad things and you do some good things, but people love you regardless.
But like my outfit would definitely have to be the
shout out Stone Cold Steve Austin,
like the bejeweled bodysuit that Taylor wore on Eras tour.
That's what you would wear, a singlet that's bejeweled.
No, not a singlet, like a bodysuit.
Right. Okay. Sure.
I don't know what. No, I don't want a singlet.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like the traditional singlet you see like in amateur wrestling or even professional wrestling, but yeah.
No, I want the boots and everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay. Makes sense. If I were going with a song, which this is actually a really hard question because I just feel like there's 10 million things flying through my head and we don't get an opportunity to actually posture for this, which is really, really, really unfortunate. But I think right now, but see, all I'm thinking about is my running playlist, and can't think of any other song but what's going through my running playlist. But I would say it's probably going to be that Wasteland by 10 Years would probably be the song. And I hope my phone's in front of me, so I can't, I can't confirm because sometimes I'm terrible with names of songs. Sometimes I flip them. But I really, really like that song.
Is
and
that the
I
one
just
that
feel
you
like
start off with?
I always start it. Yeah. It would definitely be that, or it would be like, I don't know. No, I think it would be that song. I really enjoy that song. It gets me fired up. It gets me out there, but it's also like, it's not insanely too hard, and it's not too soft either.
Right.
It's like right in between. You can come out, you can have kind of a general basic attitude. You don't have to like be overhyped. And I feel like the song takes care of itself, and I think it would get the crowd hyped up. No problem at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is.
There it is.
And there it is, guys. First, let's get deep. You get to know. So Emily and I, you won't have any questions if we're ever go into the professional wrestling game. You can't let her keep doing that.
I'm so
I love that she's hitting the microphone.
She's like falling asleep, but not falling asleep. She wants to get down, but
Just let her down then. If she wants to get down, let her down.
Okay.
We got our wonderful buzzers by Pat Pet, right?
We sure do.
Okay. See you later, Belle. And that was exactly what I expected it to be. So thank you for just confirming everything I thought when you were going to get involved in this show.
You're a pain in the butt, baby girl.
But yeah, no, and guys, we'll continue to do this. Next week, we'll have a deep, and then the following week, get deeper, and then we'll just keep repeating, and it'll all be good to go. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you for the comments in regards to wanting to get Emily and I to know us better, and we look forward to doing that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
We might actually get to know each other better.
Oh, I know. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and kind of moving into that, of course, on top of getting to know us, obviously we're not going to give all these intimate details on our kids, but we do have kids. Everybody knows that. So there's just naturally questions about that. And when you do a podcast, you are going to give details of your life. That's the expectation. We knew that going into it. Yeah. And so our kind of thought process about this was, let's talk about some of our rough moments with the kids, but ones that are more lighthearted and fun. And we all know that kids can be insanely overly honest or just really rough with their information without really realizing, because it's just where they are developmentally. Yeah. And we recently have had several of those moments. And so Emily and I thought a good way of the audience kind of getting to know us a little bit better as parents and as, our kids as well, kind of get to know their personalities a little bit as well, what we interact with. We thought Emily came up with this great name because it's a delicious candy, but Sour Patch Kid Moments, which I think is fantastic. So we will hashtag Sour Patch Kid Moments. And certainly, you guys can go out to dowehavето.com and submit any Sour Patch Kid moments you have. We will read them on the air. Anything that's funny that your kids have said or done in the recent time, let us know. We would love to discuss it during this segment.
Yeah, I think everybody has more than one. But I want to share one from Tegan from the other day. We were shopping at Costco, and I was in like the produce section, like little fridge area or whatever. And I was getting
Shout out Costco.
I was picking up some grapes. Love the candy snap grapes. And I didn't hear her say it. You told me about it afterwards, but when she...
Oh, that's right. She did tell me about that. Sorry. My head's a whirlwind.
There was this lady that walked out right before me, and she goes, "Oh, she looks like Mom. Old and grumpy."
Old and grumpy, and she works at Costco, which you don't work at Costco.
I don't know.
Old and grumpy, that was rough.
Yeah, for both parties. For me and that poor...
Were you guys having a rough day that day? I can't remember.
Woman.
I feel like everything was fine. I think that comment kind of came out of nowhere.
I have no idea. A lot of these sour moments come out of nowhere.
Well, a lot of mine are Maeve's, and they don't come out of anywhere. Maeve's just like...
Mine are mostly Seamus.
She is a Sour Patch Kid.
Tegan. So, yeah, Maeve gives it to you.
Yeah,
sure.
she does. Yep.
She puts you through it.
Yeah.
What did Maeve do?
So Maeve, I don't know how to tee this up. Well, you know how she is at bedtime. She's very specific. So our child is a very
Everything has to be
just the way it was. And she has a bedroom, has a fully functioning bed,
Absolutely.
and she basically lives in our room. So we have a roommate that lives in our room.
Yep.
And for the longest time, we couldn't get out of, not that we wanted to get her out of our bed. I guess that sounds bad, but eventually Emily and I would like our own bed. And so we bought her a Bluey bed for Christmas time.
like a sleeping bag kind of thing.
Yep. And then somebody had an accident on that. So we had to remove the bedding from there. And now it's just a blanket. But she is in love with this thing. So it has to be spread out on the floor in front of the bedroom. She has to have a nightgown on. Can't have shorts or a shirt.
No.
Can't have normal clothes on. She has to have a nightgown.
Yeah.
And on that nightgown, it has to have specifically either ponies or something like that of that nature, or she is not satisfied.
Right.
Then on top of that, she also has to have a sleep mask. So we have to go through this whole diatribe of things to get ready. So I was having trouble finding her sleep mask, so I can already tell she was annoyed with me. And usually when she's annoyed with me, that means she is going to say something not nice. I think in her mind, she thinks it's nice. But so to tee all that up, I finally find the sleep mask. She says, "Dad, you're taking for ages."
Yes.
She does love to say that. That's not the moment. I said, "I'm real sorry, honey. Here's your mask. You go to bed and you have sweet dreams." I say the sweet dreams thing. She pauses for a second, and then she starts walking back over to the bed. And she's just comfortably acting as if nothing's wrong, getting into her blanket, getting into the bed. And she goes, "I'm not going to dream about you." And I said, "Okay, that's fine, honey. You don't have to dream about me. I hope you have good dreams." And she goes, "But I bet you're going to dream about me." And then she just proceeds to not say anything else. She lays herself down, covers herself up, rolls over, and she's asleep in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No conscience whatsoever about what she said. No empathy. She is the Terminator. She has no feelings. She has no remorse. She is just a killing machine, and she will not stop until she has obliterated you emotionally.
Did you dream about her?
I don't think. I mean, I told her I did. And she said, because she asked me the next day, she goes, "Did you dream about me?" I said, "I sure did, sweetie." She goes, "I told you." That's Maeve.
We should have asked her if she dreamed about you.
Oh, I'm sure she would have just said no. I didn't even want it. I didn't want the clout. I didn't want the aggressive response where she's basically like, "Yeah, like I said, I don't give a shit about you."
No.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for more Sour Patch Kid moments. And guys, on our socials, feel free to post and put hashtag Sour Patch Kid moments. But definitely reach out to us at dowehavето.com. Go to submit a question to the show and give us your best Sour Patch Kid moments and throw that hashtag in there or just let us know. And we will definitely describe it on the air. Absolutely. They make us strong, though.
God.
Hang in there, parents. We all, hopefully you understand, we all have those moments. Can I do one more really quick?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say the person's name because I've not talked to Colin or Katie about talking about their kids, but I will say it is our executive producer, Colin's child. And you remember this wonderful, beautiful girl. Remember when she was little and we were living in an apartment, and I don't even know if we had, we just had Seamus
was
and
it
Tegan.
Seamus?
No. Hold on. But remember we're all watching a movie, like the whole family was over and all the kids that we had at the time, and we're watching something, but everybody's getting ready to wrap up. And I think she was starting to get into watching shows. She was at that age. And I have like cartoon shows, and I had Super Mario Brothers original series. And remember, I gave her the DVD, and she was so excited about it. And she's starting to walk and leave,
yes.
right? And she looks at us and she goes, "You guys are so much nicer than I thought you were. Thank you so much." And then she's walking out and she says to her mom and her dad, she's like, "They're so much nicer than I really thought they were."
Yeah.
And then they just leave. Do you remember that?
Yes. I thought you were going to say the one where one of their kids congratulated me on putting
jeans
on because I had just had a baby.
That was her too. Yeah. Like, "Oh, look, you're wearing jeans. That's great."
She was
good for you.
You have real pants on.
You actually are a functioning adult today. This is new for me. So this has got to be new for you.
A few weeks without wearing, most new moms just gave birth.
Oh yeah.
Our
Our original Sour Patch child.
Oh man.
Our wonderful Uncle Colin's daughter.
I love her so much.
I do too. I do too. So hopefully I did a good job keeping that very anonymous. But yes,
Probably
I had to tell
not,
that story.
Yeah.
Love you, Uncle Colin. Had to do it.
Yeah.
So
adorable.
But again, guys, yeah, keep sending this to us. Go to our website, let us know, and we will continue to provide you with up-to-date information on how Maeve tortures me, because that's basically what this segment is going to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah.
And how the other two torture me.
Absolutely. So moving to it, it's time. It's here. It's happening. It is our, not only do we have to talk about it segment, but it is our international edition. Now,
I know, I'm so excited.
Before I can jump in, though, we have to talk about our sponsor, and that is Miss Kansas City Kiley. You can get her at Kansas City Kiley or at kansascitykiley.com is her website. She's a real estate agent in Kansas and Missouri. She does a great job. She has worked with us. We have sold and bought through her, and we absolutely love her. If you are in the Kansas City or the Missouri area, please look her up at Kansas City Kiley or kansascitykiley.com. You will not regret it. Kiley, thank you so much for being a sponsor of the show, and thank you for all you do in the area of Kansas City when it comes to real estate and for your donations to KC Pet Project.
Yeah.
So,
super exciting.
International.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know we have touched on these questions, so I'm aware of what's happening. I've really tried not hard to think about it.
Yeah,
but
we had to use some Google Translate.
One. So we had one for Germany, and we did have to Google Translate that, and I think that came out just fine.
I hope so.
And then we had one from Australia, right? And do we have any other?
The UK.
Awesome. Okay. So let's jump in. Where are we going first on our plane ride to?
Going to the scariest
pond?
place in the world. No, I'm kidding. We're going to Australia.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I love you, Aussies.
I need to know how you survive on a daily basis. And have you ever?
Well, just have us out there and show us.
Oh gosh,
I'll bring Emily. Just bring us.
So I'm so scared. Okay, so this message is from an anonymous Aussie. The message is, hello, Sean and Emily. First ever question to the show, but a do we have to crew Aussie. So
Love
super
that.
excited. They go, I feel awful and superficial for writing this. My husband and I have been married for 7 years, and we have 2 young kids. As the years have gone on, he hasn't been taking care of himself. He's become overweight, though not majority. He has a very large stomach, but mostly
Hold on,
that's
what?
it.
Not the majority of who so he's gotten a stomach.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure I was clear on that.
He doesn't get his hair cut often and sort of just lets it hang in any direction. He has very yellow teeth and wears very old and very ill-fitting clothes. I'm no supermodel myself, but I've gotten really into fitness and I'm naturally on the thinner side as it is. I've always been interested in dressing well. I feel so shallow because looks shouldn't matter so much, right? But he's put on a lot of weight since we met and just generally doesn't take good care of himself. What should I do? I love him a lot and I wouldn't cheat or leave him, but something has to change in our relationship, whether me or him, because I doubt it's good to not be attracted to your spouse.
Yeah. You do your thing, girl.
I don't know. You go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just listening to it, and I think I only listened when we were kind of going over it. So there's some new information that I really kind of took in initially, but I think this is a great question. They're all great questions, so please continue to submit them to us. But I think this is really well laid out in the sense of like, this person really thought this through. I do like the analytical thought process that they've gone through. And this isn't superficial because, and I know you'd mentioned that there, I don't want you to feel bad about this because it's not the same thing. What you're saying is not the same thing. You're not saying, hey, I'm only concerned about how my partner looks. That's not what you're saying. Your concern is that there's an attraction issue that's happening because your partner's not taking care of themselves.
Right.
And then when we talk about self-care and accountability, when you're not taking care of yourself, and that doesn't mean you're thin or you're jacked. That means that you're doing the things where you are making an effort in your appearance and how you are projecting yourself to your wife and your family. Mm-hmm. That's a huge important thing. And whether you're male or female
too.
But I think it's ultimately the most important to your family. Like if you're going to do it for anybody, if you're going to put on your best foot forward for anybody, you have to do it for your wife and your kids, your partner and your family, right?
Yeah.
And then you go from there. But if you're doing that for them, then likely those other steps are easier because you're kind of already in that mode.
Right.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling this way. I think that this is completely legitimate. I think even from a biological perspective, like ancestral, instinctual, like how we're made, we all crave security. We all crave making sure that our partner is the most optimal they can be. So when you're not doing that, so that is something I definitely think you need to have a conversation with your partner about. My assumption is you have. If it is something that where you're having an issue really making any ground with it, it sounds like this is something really important. And it's not one of those things you should, if they give you put up a fight about it, you let it go. I really don't think so. This is where, suggesting counseling, but I really think what we may have an issue with here is a partner may be going through something that they're
that's
not,
what I was thinking.
To me, it is, there may be some depression happening or a combination of depression, anxiety, or something they're going through that they're not able to process, and it's getting projected out in how they're taking care of themselves. And so you had mentioned like anything from the teeth to the hair to like, they're just, that is like, to me, that is textbook. Like if you're not taking care of yourself, typically they relate that to depression. And so I really think that there is some benefit of talking to your, and I don't know how, in Australia, and forgive me, I don't know how, it seems like you guys do a really good job of expressing your feelings and emotions, especially when I watch Autism on the Spectrum. I don't know what the process is for Love on the Spectrum. Sorry. Yeah. And they're autistic. Jesus Christ. Sorry. I don't know what the process is of getting therapy or counseling, how easy accessible it is, or what that's looked like from a societal standpoint. But I think it's extremely important if you guys do that. And I do think that, and Emily does a really good job of this all the time. And sometimes I shut it down and I shouldn't, but like, the focus of maybe starting to go to the gym together and doing those things, anything you can do to help them feel incorporated or feel supported, you should do. Of course, there's a balance that you don't want to feel like you're bossing around or telling them they have to do something, but like anything you can do to offer up support, like how can I be there? How can I help you? I think that's the best way you can be as a partner. Right. I love the fact that you're like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to leave him, cheat on him, but like, this isn't going to work either. And I think that's exactly how you express that. You make sure and you provide that support and security in the sense of like, hey, I'm here, but this is not going to work because I'm here too.
Right.
And I can't do this. So we've got to make the right steps. And how do I help with that?
Yeah. So like I was thinking it was like, they're going through something like they're maybe, some depression issues or something, or, something like that. But also, do they feel like you're going to leave them or do something? Like, have you had that conversation with them?
I did when we went through our stuff, and we'll talk about this more down the road, especially like when we get into the months where it's mental health awareness. But like, I do think that the way sometimes we had conversation, I'm just supporting your point here. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I do want you to know that like that was in my mind. Like, I did start to think, well, this is something she was only concerned about, which is why I think the way she expressed that, if that was expressed that way, I think that would kind of disarm that thought.
We've both had that conversation with each other.
Yeah.
Like there was time where I was more focused on it than you were and vice versa. And we both have had that conversation. And attraction is important in a relationship. But I also think there's other ways to bring on attractiveness. Like one thing that you and I have both talked about is you can work out with the kids without the kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I cannot.
Right.
I have tried. I cannot do it.
You have to have a lot of things line up correctly for you to work out.
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like we make time, like when we would go to the gym with me, you, and all the kids, you took the kids and did your thing while I got to do my stuff by myself. Mm-hmm. When we work out at home, you can either go for your run, like your long runs without the kiddos, and then come back and do like a quick run with one or two of them.
Or make Seamus follow me on the bike.
Yeah. And like loves. I go out there and I do it by myself. And then when the kids are there, I'm doing something completely different. and if they're on the bike or a rower or whatever it is that they're doing, or if they're just running around the yard. Because I mentally cannot get into a focused spot to work out with them there. It's just too much of a distraction for me. So, maybe say, I appreciate the time that you give me to go work out. When can I give you that focused time to work out? When can I give you time to like really dedicate yourself, to self-care? Maybe you need to take a day where you get, your hair cut, you go for a walk, you get a coffee, you have a nice lunch, like something like that. Like, where can we add that into our schedule? It's
a good point. Doing things that maybe help with whatever's going on. Maybe they are bogged down by work, or they're not able to do the things they like to do. And maybe that's on top of like, hey, you need to go out and talk to somebody about this stuff. But also, what are the things you're not doing that you enjoy that we can kind of let's get a spark back going.
Right.
Yeah.
And like for one of us, it was about finding our hobby again. Like, Who
was that, me or you?
It was me.
Okay.
I felt like I had lost an identity when we had two very little kids and one on the way, and I was only mom.
Yeah.
And for me, it was getting back out of the house and doing a full-time job for a while. Mm-hmm. And doing something that I was actually passionate about, and taking that time and reigniting it in myself. But it was you giving me that time to do that, and we made it work. We, it took a lot of time away from the family. It took a lot of time away from you and me. It took a lot of time in general. And then circumstances change, and that's fine. And I'm very happy with where we're at now. I'm very happy with where I'm at now, being, a stay-at-home mom again. I'm loving it now.
Well, we feel like we have that control though too. And sometimes I don't think we felt like we had that back then.
I didn't, no. But I was postpartum anxiety. Like, I didn't know that I had a lot of other issues happening. So I think, a lot of it is everything compiled into one. I wasn't dressing up anymore. I was wearing sweats every day. I wasn't doing my hair. I wasn't doing my makeup. I wasn't doing my nails. I wasn't doing anything that made me feel good about myself because I didn't feel good. But I think one thing we stress to each other and to our kids is when you put the effort into how you look on the outside, it really does help the way you feel on the inside.
It does, yeah. But when you're in the tailspin, it doesn't matter.
No. But, I may not wear a fancy outfit every day, but I feel confident in the way I present myself.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable, but I'm also put together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think
you dress up every day, mostly because you work in the daytime and you're on calls. And so you have to look nice.
I also I do know that it's sometimes, even though I don't feel like it, I always do feel better after I wear something that makes me look presentable.
Right.
Yeah. But I think she's doing the right things here. I think that she has the right mindset that is going to bring the type of support that if the person is willing to work on it, they're going to be successful.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like she's judging them in any way for not doing things.
It's just a problem. It's okay to have a problem in a marriage. It doesn't mean it's not an indictment or a death sentence by any means. And I think a lot of people need to understand that. Like, you're going to have problems. It is a matter of how you deal with them, what makes or breaks the success of a marriage.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, no, there needs to be
find a way to support and communicate. And
as a husband, you got to take accountability.
More support.
As a husband, you got to take accountability. When he hears this information, the natural thing for everybody to do, and I've been there myself, is go on the defense.
But don't do that.
You got to process through this, get yourself some help. But I think on the other side, and what was her name again?
She was anonymous.
Anonymous. Oh, well, sweetheart,
just
we
part of
appreciate
our
the question.
Aussie
Thank
crew.
you so much for being a member of the Do We Have to crew in Australia. But I think you have the right attitude and the right things about it. It's really just, presenting the information in a supportive way and then allowing them to kind of start the process from there. And all you can do is support. If they refuse to get themselves help, that's a different conversation. But it sounds like I really don't feel like that'll happen.
And find a way to tell your partner what you are attracted to about them that's not necessarily physical. Like, I'm attracted to this that you provide. I'm attracted to this that you offer and all of that stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for the question.
Yeah.
Let us know how it goes. Let us know, give us an update when you can, and very good luck. And thank you so much for being our first part of our international Do We Have to Talk About It.
Yeah, super exciting.
Where are we going next?
We are going to go to the UK now.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick drink. I'm going to try to go as far away from possible. And I apologize to our wonderful official beer of the show, Garage Beer, but Emily and I are not recording on our normal day. We had to do it super early in the morning to avoid any disruptions for the crew. And so I am drinking Dunkin' iced coffee that I made myself. Thank you, Dunkin'.
Yeah. Okay. So this one comes from Henry from the UK. They say, hello, Do We Have to team? I'm one of your UK Do We Have to crew. This question is for Sean. No offense, Emily. None taken. Given your experience, what would you have done differently, or what do you think every man should know prior to getting married? Thank you for taking my question. All right, doll, all you. Give Henry your
Do you remember
best.
how we were able to tell that this was a legitimate person from the UK?
Because of how they spelled the word offense.
Offense.
Yeah.
And how do they spell it in England? It's OFFENCE, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much. It seems very credible. Of course, we can't fact check or check these things, but I was able to look. I was like, oh, that misspelled offense. So I looked it up. And actually, instead of the American spelling, OFFENSE, OFFENCE. So that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the question. What was the name again?
Henry,
thank you so much for the question. Forgive me, Henry. It's been a long week of work, and forgive me for my mind not being as sharp as it normally is when we're doing this show.
Very, very early.
So, Henry, thank you so much for the question. And yeah, actually, I've thought about this quite a bit before I've ever even got this question, as far as being able to kind of look back, turn back the hand of time, so to speak, and be able to go back before Emily and I got married.
Did anybody else have Cher just pop into their head? Anyway.
Oh, I was thinking that R&B song. If I could turn back the hands of time. But
Anyway, go on.
There's a lot of things I would do differently. But I think the biggest thing, like from an overall, like just how you are going to be as a husband, as potentially a future father, I had just been so much more strategic about how I was going to take care of myself to be able to take care of Emily and our future children. Meaning that, like, I was so focused on things that really weren't that big of a deal. Like, how do I make more money? How do I do these things? How do I give her what she wants? And I think if I would have been focused on how can I be the best person I can be mentally, physically, and really like take an overview of that. I was dealing with a really bad anxiety issue at the time and depression, but I wasn't putting any time into maintaining that or figuring it out, right? And mental health is a crapshoot as it is, just because as a society, it's not been something that was really focused on till now of recent. And I could have really given myself, it could have been a really good opportunity to say, hey, while we're planning for this wedding, we're doing these things. These are the things I need to be on point with. That's one of them, and then my physical health. And if I would have just done that tweak, the mental and the physical health and the self-care and making sure I'm taking care of myself, making sure I'm going to the doctor, making sure that all those things are done, all those things are in line. I think the money stuff, the giving Emily what she wants, all that stuff would have taken care of itself. But instead, I really focused on things that were materialistic or didn't matter in the long run. And did I make some strides there? Yeah, but they weren't really long-term or meaningful, and we didn't get to where we wanted to go. And I'm sure we'll talk about our finances eventually on the show as well, so stay tuned for that. But it didn't go somewhere super healthy because that was the focus. If I would have done the things to make sure I was taking care of myself, both mentally and physically, all that other stuff would have worked out. my ability of being a good husband. My ability of being a good husband, my ability to be a good father, how I performed at my job, which then would have related to future money, how I would have for future prospects for other jobs, all of those things. And then being a husband, like having my mental health in a good place, I would have been able to be the most optimal husband. I wasn't those things. And it took a long time before I feel, and I still feel like I need to continue working on that. But I feel like I'm finally in a good spot with all of that stuff where I was not for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when we got married, you were also like, I don't know that you or I realized that it was mental health as well as physical health. You know, we got engaged, and shortly after that, you had a really bad episode of Bell's palsy, Guillain-Barré, and we pushed back our wedding a little bit.
Yeah, but that's me not taking care of my physical health. See what I'm saying? So it's just, I wouldn't have had those autoimmune issues if I wasn't so overweight. That's a big, like the obesity and eating the processed food all the time. It triggers that stuff. Your body basically.
And it triggers mental too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all follows in together. But, there was just a lot, and there was a lot that I could have done differently too. I was not the best version of myself that I could have been or should have been.
It should be a requirement if you're going to get married and you want to get a marriage license that you have to attend so many counseling hours. Like if we want to talk about, and we're going to get into politics here in a little bit, but you want to talk about actually putting legislation in that's helpful if you want to have control over the American family, why don't you have control over what's good, right? And we did counseling through our parish because we're getting married in the Catholic Church. And we did
marriage counseling. Yeah. Before.
No offense to that, but a priest is not trained to do what really needs to be done when it comes to marriage counseling. They provide, from your religious standpoint of being a couple, the guidance, which is great. But that's spiritual is one piece of the pie. You know what I mean? And you graze over some things about finances and those sorts of things, but it's very surface. And this is no disrespect to you need actual intensive couples counseling.
Well, and we had a sponsor couple that helped lead us through the marriage prep process. And thankfully I knew that couple from when I was young all the way to adulthood, and I knew their kids and I knew their family dynamic. And
they're
so
not
they gave us
professionals. Well,
no, but they gave us a lot more, I would say personal examples than what, some other friends of ours have had, or even my sister got when she was prepping. It's, if you don't know and have a relationship with the couple that you're going through that counseling or that's sponsoring you through that marriage prep stuff, they're not going to give you as intimate of information as they can about their struggles in marriage and their true, advice. It's going to be very basic level. Yeah. But I do think counseling before marriage is important.
Individual and couple. And that's the other thing too, is you want to be a leader from a male perspective, be a leader in the sense of lead what you're supposed to lead. And that doesn't mean I'm a guy, so that means A, B, and C I'm in charge of. No, you know what your relationship dynamic is. Be the leader where you're supposed to be the leader and do the things that are going to help you be the most optimal leader. And again, it's physical, mental, right? That's the biggest two things. Take care of those things. They're going to take care of themselves. But I would, if you're going to be a leader somewhere, be a leader in supporting that mental and physical health with your wife too. And suggest you guys do counseling before you get married. It will help.
Spiritual goes into it, but I get not everybody is spiritual. But
I'm being neutral in the sense of not everybody's religious. And I mean, if you're religious or if you're an atheist, I support whatever your religious belief is or lack of, right?
It's not us to judge that. No.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't judge it anyway. If you feel that that's what's right, then that's what's right. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. And I'm going to tell you, if there's a Christian telling you otherwise, I don't think they're very Christianly, but that's my opinion. But what I'm going to say as far as to Henry is those three things. You take care, and if spiritual is part of it, to Emily's point, put effort into that too, right? All those phases, if you can put effort into those things and focus on those, the other stuff will drown out the things that really don't matter, and you're really forming a solidified foundation of partnership with your spouse.
Yeah, if you come in with a strong foundation and you build it with your partner, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Henry, thank you so much for the
Absolutely.
question. That's the first time anyone's ever directed one at me. That's cool.
I know. You feel special.
I do. Yeah. And the UK too. No much. I can't wait to go to London. I've always wanted to go to well, not just London, England. I want to do the Harry Potter tour where they filmed. I want to go to Ireland. I mean, I love Europe.
Forget Harry Potter. I want to go see a royal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I want to do it all. I want it all. I want it all. Go ahead.
Windsor.
Sorry. Where are we going next? We're going to
Germany.
Germany, yes. So this was actually written in German.
Yes.
So we did use Google Translate.
And I really hope we got it right.
And what's our wonderful lady's name?
Ella.
Ella.
At least according to Google Translate.
Okay, which is fantastic. Thank you, Ella, so much for your question. And hopefully we don't butcher this and well, it's not really us, it's Google Translate. So
yes, and I do apologize.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Okay, she says, hello, Sean and Emily. I am a crew member and I live in Germany. My husband and I love your show. Thank you so very much. Can you talk about President Trump's recent meeting with the president of Ukraine and share your thoughts on what happened? Do you ever plan to visit Germany? First of all, yes.
Germany.
Sean and I both have a desire to visit Germany. Sean's dad actually lived in Germany.
And my mom, when they first got married, they got married because he was going to be going overseas to Frankfurt, and she was 17 and he's 21 at the time. And she had just graduated high school, and they literally did it because it made sense with the benefits and that sort of thing. They were planning on it, but they weren't going to do it then. And then Dad always jokes around that Grandpa made him do a shotgun wedding. Like, well, when are you going to get married so you can take Ginger with you over to Europe? But yeah, so they lived in Frankfurt for two to 3 years, maybe even a little bit more. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Just the way your dad talks about, because
he loved Germany. I've never heard a bad thing.
I was going to say, I think that was
he
probably
loved Europe.
Favorite place he ever lived.
Yep.
With the military.
I think it's probably the favorite place he ever lived. I mean, it didn't make sense because all of his family is back here. I don't think that was ever a part of his plan. But like, if he didn't have any ties down, I think he would have just lived in Europe. I think he just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should ask him that.
I mean, I have. I think,
but mom would never let that happen because her family's back there, and that's just she was just so tight knit with Grandpa and Grandma. That was yeah. So
yes, we do have a desire to go to Germany. So if you have some spots that are a must-have, go to.
Definitely let us know.
Please send them our way.
Yeah, anybody in Germany, please do we have to crew in Germany? And we know you do listen.
Well, anywhere.
Plenty of you out there. Well, yeah, absolutely, anywhere. Send us some spots, and then maybe one day we'll make it. Not only will we do an international duet talk about it, maybe we'll be doing an international live tour. That'd be awesome.
Ooh.
Yep. So, big question here. I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a question. I mean, you guys are probably for a European perspective. And here's the thing with folks, regardless of who you voted for, nobody, I'll say this. I don't think anybody voted for what's been happening on a consistent basis because it's exhausting. And that's not a knock on anybody specifically. It's just the way we're doing business right now from a political standpoint in the U.S. And that's not just specific to Republicans. It's Republicans and Democrats both. I don't think either side is doing the things they need to do to come to a center point so we can actually start making really meaningful legislation that benefits the most majority of America, because there are two parties. And, even though obviously the Republican Party won this election, there's millions and millions of people who voted Democrat that, unfortunately aren't getting served in the best way because everybody's more concerned about fighting with the other side than they are about coming together and making meaningful legislation.
Yeah, everybody's stopping each other from making any progress in anything.
Yeah, so that's a high level view, my viewpoint and our viewpoint, I would say, regardless, because we talk about this all the time. But what did you think, why don't we start with you in regards to the meeting itself? Because it was J.D. Vance, the president of Ukraine, right? And then, of course, it was... there was one other person in there.
Trump.
Well, Trump. Yeah, sorry. Obviously, but there was one other.
There's a bunch of reporters.
No. There was another politician that was in there. And I wish I could have remembered. They even on SNL, they had the guy who plays.
Was it Rubio?
Yes. Marco Rubio. Thank you. There you go. So all four of them are sitting down. Obviously, there's been basically fighting with Ukraine. Like a lot of people think this is like a recent scenario. This has been going on since 2014. So again, a lot of people can just shit on one administration, but this has been going on multi-administrations where we haven't really gotten a solidified standpoint of peace. But essentially what's happened is that, NATO was formed, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, where essentially that was put together to kind of, and forgive me, I'm not trying to butcher this by any means, but essentially strategically it was to hone in and make sure from a territory standpoint that there was an agreed upon level of control between what was at one point the Soviet Union, USSR, and then, the European nations. And from my understanding, if we want to kind of take accountability here, we weren't supposed to grow it as much as it's grown. And as we've been kind of going more and more towards Russian territory and taking up Russian territory, what we once used to be USSR territory, that incited them. They've made bad decisions as well as far as invading Ukraine and trying to take that over. And then here we are in this administration where Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is here talking about, hey, we need to get to a point where we can get this over with. But at the same time, I need support from a military standpoint, because they're not adhering to these ceasefires or anything like that. They'll say they do a ceasefire and then they go further. Now they're upset because we're attacking them, but like this has just been business as usual, right? So what do you think about the meeting and how it went?
I was really disappointed. I feel like
just in general, the meeting itself or specific people or
at Americans, right now, Trump is a representative of all of us.
Right.
So is Vance.
Yeah, even when we didn't vote for him, but I think a lot of people are like, to your point, a lot of people are like, he's not my president. Well, no, we live in the United States. We pay taxes here. He's our president.
But regardless, I don't know that meeting should have been televised. I think there should have been some.
That's a normal thing. What they did during the meeting shouldn't have happened.
No, I think somebody should have stepped in.
Yeah.
And stopped it. It turned into a full blown train wreck, I think.
Yeah.
It was bullying at its finest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it solved nothing. It honestly solved nothing. It didn't get any movement towards any solution whatsoever. It just started more problems. I think Zelensky held himself with some sort of class and stood up for himself and gave himself, held himself with dignity and respect towards himself and his country, where Americans didn't show that, in my opinion. Do I agree that we need to give them everything that they're asking for and do everything? Yes and no. Do I want to be on Russia's side? No. Do I support Russia and what they're doing? No.
I mean, it's so easy to say. It's so easy to say that. So it's like from a. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I'm cutting you off. I don't mean to. You didn't agree with how the meeting was handled, and that's fine. You don't have to get into details of that because that's not a big thing that you're super into. But like you as a human being, watching how they interacted,
I was sad.
You didn't have a good feeling on that.
No, I was sad for both countries involved, and honestly, well, three countries involved, because Russia's involved, whether they were there or not. But not everybody in Russia supports what's happening. Certainly nobody in Ukraine supports what's happening. And not
everybody in any country supports when you're going to war. Like that's always something that ends up creating infighting, right?
It's a sad situation all around. Yep. And nobody's going to come out a winner. Yeah.
I mean, I think this, so again, you want to talk about self-care and accountability. I think that unfortunately, and this is just my opinion, guys. I respect, if you voted for Trump, I don't have disrespect for you. I don't agree. That wasn't my presidential pick. And that's how I feel about it. But I do think we spend way too much time in energy on trying to prove each other wrong or make each other feel bad for the decisions that we made. And really, we should be focused on ourselves and how we can help whatever we define as progress, whatever we define as good political foundation, supporting that. And we don't do it. And I do think that both sides, Democrats and Republicans, want that. They want us fighting with each other.
Absolutely.
And I think every time we are nasty and make comments to each other, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of comments on this video, especially because we're talking about politics stuff. So there's a lot of factual information you have to have. And I know we don't really have a lot of that.
No.
There's going to be nastiness in fighting with it. And that's what they want. You're just giving them exactly what they want, because really at the end of the day, both parties are really in the United States right now. They're designed to make a lot of money, and it's associated with, in my opinion, oligarchical practice of, the people that have the majority, which is really corporations, and then your mega rich people really making the decisions about what's happening. And they kind of get that done under the rug. And how they do that is by distracting you with things that really ultimately don't matter to the overall benefit of the average human being and the progress that's being made.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was a total distraction of what was really needed.
And here's the thing: people will come in and say, "Well, hey, we need to get this metals deal, right?" So they have resources that, hey, if you want all this military, because we are the biggest military in the world, and I understand. So I don't disagree. We are the biggest military world, and we also, we have people here that are struggling. So asking for resources all the time, like, I understand the mindset of giving people saying, "Hey, we're going to cut all this stuff and we're going to do all this stuff." But my problem with it is it's used in such a manipulative way. So right now, Elon Musk is going through and he's cutting all this stuff, right? And they're talking about it, the State of the Union address. But what are they doing? They're only talking about something they relate to democratic policies, even if it's not there's no fact checking on this stuff. And I'm sure if there was, people would destroy it. And I'm sure some of the stuff is. But the point is when I'm listening to the State of the Union address, it is just, look at all this stuff they're doing for transgender support, and transgender people are people, right? But that's all they focused on. And they did that on purpose to incite a response from their supporters, because right now they're cutting all this stuff. And some of their supporters were being really affected by this, right?
Absolutely.
But when you can throw out that stuff, it's like, well, yeah, this is great, right? But until the average general American in mass is benefited from doing this stuff, because the prices aren't going down, right? There's talk about us potentially going into recession, which is what I think will happen.
I think we're in it.
Nothing positive's happening from it, but we're going to say buzzwords and things, and we're going to blame the other party, and then everybody's going to be okay with it. And we're just going to keep doing things as status quo. It's not okay. No. But I will tell you one thing too. We can villainize Russia. We can villainize all these countries like China and Russia and stuff. We're no different. No. So we go and we take over countries. We go and we put our military influence on it. And again, you can balance it out by saying we do a lot of good for the world, although we're cutting a lot of aid right now, right? So I guess I'm not really answering the question.
No.
The way we handled that meeting, when the media I guarantee you, tough conversations or getting tough with people happen all the time. I don't think that's how we should represent ourselves as being a diplomatic leader in this world. It seemed very childish, but I also think the two personalities that really were behind the fighting, I think J.D. Vance is I think he's a very intelligent person. I think he's insanely manipulative, and I don't think he's a good human being. And
he worries me more than Trump does sometimes.
Yeah. And so I think he knew what he was doing. And I think that was really postured. Mm-hmm. If you look at human psychology, it just seemed very postured. And then Trump, whatever, it is what it is. I just think those are two people that really haven't taken accountability for a lot of their actions and tried to grow as human beings as much as they could. And I think that's why sometimes we're getting these things. And I would say that about Democratic candidates too. So I'm not just shitting, but here's the deal. If you're the president, you're going to be under a different microscope, just like Joe Biden was. Like I was not a Joe Biden fan either. So, but I voted for him because I do believe more in, at least from a foundational standpoint, it just aligns, the Democratic Party aligns more with my values. And I do think that, I don't know. It's a tough topic. It's really hard here in America because there's people that are losing families over it. There's people that aren't talking to each other over it. There's people that won't spend time with others because of who they voted for. And I don't agree with any of that. Like all we're doing is giving them exactly what they want. They want a divisive America so they can do whatever they want to do with it. We really do need to change. If these types of meetings don't happen, if we have term limits, if we have those types of things, if lobbying wasn't a thing, insider trading, like the long-standing politician that just sits in an office and makes $200,000 a year, but comes out making being worth 60 million. Those times need to change. So it's not like people can, I think Trump's the figurehead of like all the things that are wrong with the political process.
There's a lot.
But at the same time, this has been going on for forever, and it's both parties.
Absolutely.
So I think you're just seeing all this stuff come to a head when you're not taking care of yourself and you're not doing the right things. And I think America, the political experiment of what we're dealing with, like things have been allowed to be not taken care of, and there's a lack of accountability. And now you're just seeing all these negatives from that flood out. And I think that's what you're seeing. And it is disappointing. But neither party right now, what they're doing or how they're doing it is the answer.
No.
Because I watch Democrats.
People expect more of like a show from Trump because it's Trump. And he's willing to give it. And I think that's also the sad part of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and here's the deal. Before that State of the Union address, people that I have a lot of respect for were putting out social media posts with Kendrick Lamar dances and things like that. Like if you're, giving off this perception, you feel like democracy's in danger and you're putting up a fight. I don't need to see a fucking video of a TikTok dance. Like that does nothing for me. I want to know, what is your plan as far as what's your plan? It's all these posts and shit. It's a waste of time and it's a distraction, and you guys know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It's fine. You want to get clicks, whatever. But like, I want to know what you're doing. Like, what is your strategic standpoint of what we're going to do to get with this party and figure out how to at least get some of the things we're trying to get done? And if the answer is, well, they're not going to let us do anything, so we're just going to, you know what I mean? It's not the answer.
No.
So I'm just as disappointed at times with our responses to things. But if anybody does get an opportunity, I really thought the mayor of Boston, if I want to take a positive to this after that kind of aftermath of what's been going on with all the resource cutting and the meeting itself, the mayor of Boston got up and talked to the federal government about how cutting some of these funds, how it's affecting their city with factual information. Mm-hmm. And I thought they did a really good job.
Out, didn't she?
Yes. Shout out to Aunt Jess. She's the one who sent that out. But if you get an opportunity, she is on TikTok, and it wasn't, a video of, me doing a popular dance or a song or something like that. It was her talking and explaining why some of these things that are being done are problematic. And here's what I need to continue making Boston one of the best cities in the world. Can I get support from both sides on this? Right. Mm-hmm. And I thought the way some folks handled it, because all they were just shouting about them giving money for immigrants. Right. So again, buzzwords where it's just like, you're going to shut down a majority of the population because it's so divisive. Mm-hmm. So no, I wasn't, I don't know what you guys thought about that. Certainly, send us our comments, tell us what you think about what happened. But
yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on it from
it wouldn't be the way that I would want it handled. But I do also know that these meetings can be contentious, but at the same time, like, just like when you're a married couple, like you have children or you're in public, like you can have a disagreement and you can talk that through, but you screaming, yelling at something, like you can just see from a relationship standpoint, there's nothing positive about from a like even if we get what we want, even if they get what they want, the relationship itself is altered from that meeting.
It looked like a playground.
It just wasn't.
Fight, like
it was just really emotionally, two emotionally immature human beings.
Yeah.
Handling the most important job in the world, which is dealing with other countries from a diplomatic standpoint from the highest level of leadership. Mm-hmm. And it's really disappointing. Yeah. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for your question. I hope we're out to Germany soon. We will, Ella, just, keep us updated. Let us know what we should do. And if we ever get out there, we'll look you up.
Maybe.
Yeah, why not? We'll bring you a hoodie. Emily's got one made. We're not selling merch yet, but we are dipping our toes into it. Just trying to figure it out. Yep. Yeah. So that will that's going to wrap us up, right? That's our first international one. We're done. That is fantastic. Guys, thank you so much. You continue to anywhere in the world. We have Google Translate. So even if English isn't your native language, and you don't feel comfortable writing in it, write us in your language. We'll figure out how to translate it, and you just ask us anything you want. And I hope we get it right with Google. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So with that being said, though, how can everybody, before we wrap up the show today, how can everybody get out to us? What are we doing here in the world of social media?
We've got our website, thedowehavето.com,
Yep.
where you can submit your questions and comments
And get all the updates on the show.
You can also send us some of your Sour Patch Kid moments, because I would love to hear how everybody else gets dinged from their kiddos.
Yeah. So anybody, when you are on our socials, just hashtag Sour Patch Kid moments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With to like the Do We Have To crew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. We are on Peloton. So you can follow me at Emily_in_KC.
Nice.
You can follow Sean at Do We Have To Pod KC on Peloton. We created a team. So we can do weekly challenges and all of that stuff at hashtag Do We Have To Crew.
And I will say too, so once we get enough people, a part of the Do We Have To Crew team, once we do weekly challenges, eventually down the road, this isn't anything right now, but once we get there, we'll have weekly prizes, and then they do like a monthly, like, hey, this person's done we'll even have a monthly winner, and we'll throw in, we'll talk about it, but we'll throw in merch, maybe even something autographed. So yeah, definitely just add us on there. You can follow us directly, meaning we can work out together, and then also, join our team, and then we'll start throwing out weekly challenges and those sorts of things. Very simplistic things like, hey, let's make sure we work out 3 times a week. Who can accomplish that, right?
Yeah, let's motivate each other.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@dowehavetoa marriage podcast. Instagram, Threads, Facebook is all at do.we.have.to. X is, or Twitter as I still call it, is at Do We Have To Pod. TikTok is at Do We Have To a Marriage Pod, and Blue Sky is Do We Have To podcast.bsky.social.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And guys, thank you to Do We Have To Crew for listening to us today. And again, we talk about self-care and accountability. The best thing you can do, the greatest change that you can enact is change within yourself. And then the other things take care of themselves. We'll be talking about eventually here, we'll be having our book club, The Let Them Theory. Highly recommend if you haven't yet, get that book by Mel Robbins. And also it's on Audible through Amazon or any of your other ones where you can listen to it if you don't like reading. But a lot of this is associated with that. Like, stop with the focus on the external that you can't control. Focus on what you can control. Keep taking care of yourselves, and do the best you can to be the best human being, and be gracious with yourself.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day. Do We Have To Crew. Love you, Rosebud.
Love you, doll.
Wake up, I'm about to shake up every little thing, show you all that we can be. Come dance in my club.